Hey everybody, it is Deb from Deb's Corner Canada. It is so good to see you guys today. It is a bit of a rainy day, but we're going to do this anyway. So today I wanted to talk about 4 sexual stages of a narcissist. And this one I'm going to do the first 2 just because they're kind of long. So I'm going to split it in half. So I'm going to do 1 and 2 and then 3 and 4 down the road here. So moving into this. So a topic I really feel that really I guess needs a deeper discussion, right? And it really seems to be somehow kind of a taboo topic or something people are afraid to bring into the forefront and afraid to talk about, right? So it's really kind of a quick trigger warning as well along here, because this series is really not meant for children. So anybody 16 and under, kind of, we should, maybe discuss it with a parent or something like that. But right now we're just kind of focused 16 and above, okay? And so with that in mind, let's jump on in here. And so this is going to start, it typically it goes, I'd say 0 months to a year for this stage. And I'm sure they can change and go longer, go shorter, but I'm just kind of giving it a bit of a timeline to keep an eye on it, right? So, and typically it'll start with scams like, I'll just have a little list here. So a romantic or soulmate connection. So typically it'll come in as that. It might come in as a shared history. You know this person, they know this person, so they'll reach out to you. Or a proclaimed, childhood crush on you that, they've loved you forever and they've always had a crush on you. That's kind of a big one. A past workplace crush. So they used to work with you, but hey, now they don't. Why can't you date? Or maybe perhaps shared friends that you might both have together. That's a possibility. Or a messenger reach out. This one's a big one. A messenger reach out, or even it'll typically start with them a dating or a hookup app, but it can go through your messenger as well. So contrary to actually popular opinion on this, when a dark triad contacts you, it typically actually does not start out with sexual undertones. Typically it's going to start out very innocent. It's going to start out with kind of just small intros and stuff like that, right? So typically it's going to begin with benign kind of complimentary stuff, right? So phrases like hello beautiful, or good morning beautiful, or I've always had a crush on you. That's a big one. Or how have you been? So seemingly they're going to be like really, really kind of like just innocent, really kind of innocent things that are out of nowhere, right? So just kind, innocent things, which is what they want you to think. And so some will even actually remind you of the past. So say you met them 10 years ago. So they're going to remind you that 10 years ago, you met at X restaurant, you were both wearing this color, and this was the song playing. So the reason they're doing this, and for you it might be just a memory, they're trying to make it much more important than it really was, right? So they're going to turn it into, oh, remember, we were listening to this and we're both wearing red and we were sitting on the balcony and this song played and it's always been my favorite song. So they're going to try to pull in your senses, pull you into this supposed memory or this supposed thing that they're and sometimes they'll just make stuff up that you're like, what are they talking about, right? But you don't want to be rude, so you try not to interrupt them, and that's how they're gonna keep going. But anyway, so moving into stage 1. So in stage 1, so this is really going to be timed. Like they're going to come in at very specific times in your life or when things are happening, right? So it's usually when that targeted new supply that they're kind of after here is vulnerable, bored, or distracted. And this could happen with things like, like major life changes, or some transitions, so like moving, new job, maybe job loss, things like that, right? Or even grieving will do it. Marital problems, if you're having marital problems, they're very quick to step in there. Maybe health or addiction problems that you're trying to deal with, that's another time they'll step in. Or if you're having kind of family issues or problems, or even if you're having very serious illnesses or financial duress, that's when they'll sneak through the cracks. And so meanwhile, kind of like timing wise for this here, the old and devalued supply. So this poor person that's sitting at home confused, wondering what's going on, and they're still like their root is still attached. They're still attached to this dark triad, but the dark triad is over it probably 3 months in, right? They just want their comeuppance now. They don't care about anything else, right? So meanwhile, timing wise, this poor old devalued supply is really sitting at home or wherever they've had to go, and they're either being completely ignored and untouched by this dark triad, or they're being used sexually in very ever increasing demeaning ways, right? And especially when that dark triad is really frustrated elsewhere, they're going to take it out on this, like, the old devalued supply that's at home, right? And so here's what the narcissist will gain here in stage one. So they're going to gain kind of like idealized attention, and that's from a new source, right? To have a new source, right? And so a new source will even kind of fuel their I'm going to say it politely, their do-it-yourself needs. So they'll do it themselves while they're actually looking at a picture of the new target or a text or whatever. Like, they'll actually do it themselves. And so really they're also going to gain a permission of sorts, right? So there's a really good permission of sorts here to indulge in their regularly preferred, so they regularly actually prefer this, right? Sexual perversions with that current and devalued supply. So they're going to keep pushing those boundaries with the current devalued supply to try to get that deviant sex they've always wanted anyway. And so the narcissist will still get, sex on demand, right? So they're still getting all they want. So they're getting sex on demand due to like an abandonment fear that's coming from this devalued supply, right? So they're just kind of thinking, holy cow, like all of a sudden, this person that I love and I'm with is just going to leave. Oh my gosh, like I must be doing something wrong. And they're going to try to fawn. They're going to try to pull this back. They're going to try to get it back, right? And so really, it's just really due to that abandonment fear that they have, and they're going to really try harder here. Also, the narcissist is still going to get to still actively garner preferred regular sexual deviant behavior through massive daily use of pornography. I'm talking like a newspaper or like other people scrolling. It's never going to end. Local or location geo-based sex workers or sex apps. Dirty little secret side supply. Usually it's through opportunistic opportunities, or being opportunistic actually, at or around their workplace or even their home base, right? That they're just looking for opportunities everywhere, really. And so the dark triad is receiving fuel because really here they're fully fed, right? They're fully fed from all these different sources all around. So they're full. They're fed. They're having a good time. They will also do it themselves towards these new targeted supplies and fantasize about them a lot, like often, like consistently throughout the day, to the point where they're not texting or calling this, their devalued home supply. They're not even a thought in their head anymore because they're just so focused on this, right? And they'll even switch here down to the regular deviant, like from this deviant stuff they were watching, this deviant and ever increasing deviant porn. They're going to switch it down. They're going to switch it back down to kind of regular vanilla, like man, woman, that's it, straight-laced stuff. But really, they're going to try to find love-making and sensuality. They're going to look for those things that they've probably never looked for before in there. But they're going to do this to kind of trick this new targeted supply into thinking they're really good in bed. They're all about kissing and hugging and this and that. But they're doing this, they're watching this kind of vanilla type porn, I guess, compared to what they normally watch. They're doing this really so that they can learn. They're learning to fake intimacy because, they can only mimic the mechanics of the act. They don't know how to feel the intimacy or mimic the intimacy, so they have to figure out what it's going to look like in the act. I know. And so stage 1, 2. So the old kind of devalued supply is doing really sexual acts here that they probably have zero interest in doing and really have never even thought of doing, no desire to do ever in the past, and frankly is now degrading to them. It's a degrading type of thing, right? And they'll be called prude-like if they don't go for these kind of degrading things, right? Upon demand. And so it's purely to try to make up really for their perceived sexual prude-like behavior, as per Mr. Narky or Mrs. Narky, who says they're prude-like, right? So they're going to try to do these things to make them happy, but meanwhile they find them abhorrent, disgusting, whatever. They find them degrading. They don't want nothing to do with it either, right? So, or the old and devalued supply is either going to flat out avoid sex, and that might be due to a few things, but one of them being they might be worried about fears of, STDs, getting something from the sheer amount of things they see, right? So they're starting to really wonder, holy jeepers, like I'm eventually going to catch something, and they might pull back too as well. So this old supply as well, we'll be seeing no more non-sexual touching. There'll be no more hand holding, arm touching, hand holding, kiss on the cheek. There's no more of that's going to be going on. It's going to be either physically aggressive, or it's going to be sexually deviant, aggressive based at this point, right? And also it's going to increase really with sexual cruelness, just honestly, just cruelness, just cruel stuff, just for their kicks, right? And the narcissist might actually even be bold enough here, and many are, to try to bring a third party into your situationship. So a threesome or swinging or things like that, right? Trying to convince you that you need it too, by the way. You don't. And so this is to triangulate you with other people, which is one of their favorite things. And it's also to trick that devalued partner, right? The devalued one, into doing what they want to do, right? And insinuating in their own little kind of special way that the devalued partner isn't good enough, right? So this devalued partner is going to be like, well, hey, I can swing with the best of them. I can do all that stuff too, right? So they're just kind of trying to prove a point that they have no interest in this. And they're doing it for the narcissist or for the dark triad, right? So the sexual dynamic also will provide relief to that dark triad, right? In the form of kind of, they're going to get away with more. They're going to get away with more disappearances and, to acquire more sexually exploitative options, right? And as that devalued partner is going to reset to fawning mode and trying to please them again and not bother them and not cramp their style and not make them upset. And so this leaves the narcissist open for even more time to themselves, which is never good. But anyway, so which, in essence, if we actually really though think about that, if you really boil that down, the narcissist is really addicted to you. They're addicted, well, supply obviously, but they're addicted to you. And, actually, you are their drug of choice. You are the actual drug of choice, and you can always, stop supplying that drug, right? So this ties up the stage 1 of the 4 of the narcissistic sexual stages. And so now I'm going to pop over into stage 2. And so in stage 2, typically this is about, I'd say, 1 year to maybe 3 years, somewhere in there, if you're in that long. So stage 2 here of narcissistic sex stages. So again, just a quick warning here that this topic might be really triggering and discusses sexuality and narcissism and is not meant for children under 16. So it is stage 2. So stage 2 here is going to start off with complaints. So complaints of not giving into the demands for sex. And the complaints will go to the old devalued supply, right? And it's going to be demands for sex whenever they want it. And it's going to be really irrelevant to any other things that like that old devalued supply might need to do, right? They might need to take care of kids or work or clean the house or whatever the situation may be, right? And so sexual comments also here at this point, they're to set the narcissist up for exclusivity. And right, so because here they can claim other people are better at it, or other people want them, or they're claiming, sexually they have to, like, I don't know, turn people down to make the other person feel sexually inferior, which is really their bottom line, but that's another story. So this is going to start off here with the narcissist smearing that devalued target that's now at home, right, to that online supply that they aren't even getting it anymore. They're just, they're not getting any more, poor them, right? And that old supply that's at home is actually still in fawn mode. They're still fawning, right? And they now may be counting the days actually of no sex, but not for STD purposes or anything else. The old supply might now be counting the days that they're not having sex with real fear, because they know that that dark triad has been bothering them for sex every day or two since they've known them, and it's been 3 weeks. So they're like, okay, well, they're getting it elsewhere. So they're it's putting more fear into the mind of this supply as well, right? Well, all this is going on. And so the narcissist is now actually going to turn up that victim mode, right? And it's really to keep potential targets engaged and invested with them. They want them engaged and they want them to stay invested, right? And so what the narc is going to gain here in stage 2. So stage 2, they're going to get fresh actors, fresh entertainment. Good for them, right? And they're willing to do that sneaky, deviant, sexual stuff that they actually really always wanted to do. That's what they want to do. That is what their normal is sexually deviant things. And so increasing that deviant sex with old devalued supply at home will keep kind of ramping up here to really bad levels, to weight loss and all kinds of things, right? And so the narc is still gaining here increased confidence, right? So from all of this sexual attention from the devalued source and from the potential source and from the dirty secrets and all this other stuff and the porn and right? They're getting an increased confidence, right? And that just enables them to hunt more game, bigger game, right? Being full on, right? They want to be full on excess deviant. They want deviant sexual supply, and they will get it however they can get it. They don't really care. And so the narcissist here is going to gain as well, like anticipation of another sexual conquest. Like if you've ever had a first date, just before that first date, that excitement, right? They feel that they have a right to feel this all the time. They should be feeling great and lusty, and everything should be perfect all the time. This is what causes most of the problems, that they actually really believe this in their heads. And so, also they're getting an excitement. They're getting excitement, duper's delight. It's by them sharing sexually based secrets with others too, and saying, oh, they don't get it, or you don't do this right, or you do that funny, or you don't like to do this or do that. So they're actually telling strangers that they've devalued and smeared you to. They're telling either sexual secrets or made up, problems in your sex life or whatever, right? Or they'll do something really extra cruel or really extra cold if that devalued supply actually dares to say no, right? If they dare to say no, rage or accusations or something will happen. So in stage 3, carrying on here for the sexual stages. So old devalued supply, right, will receive more and more sexually deviant aggression, like aggressive sex. Aggressive, very, very aggressive, right? And if they're even physically injured or complain, they'll be glared at, they'll be raged at, they'll be told they're too sensitive, they'll be told they're not adventuresome enough, whatever the dark triad can think of to keep getting their fill, right? Is what's going to happen. And so they'll be, in this stage 2, coerced or even forced to also participate in watching pornography with the dark triad. Almost always happens eventually. And they think this is normal. They actually think this is normal. Watch the narcissist porn and even mimic the sick things that the narcissist is watching. They'll want you to, mimic whatever sickness is going on. And else you'll be a prude or whatever else, right? So in stage 3, so old supply will also be encouraged to leave the home often. So old supply will be argued with, treated so poorly they leave. Yeah, I don't know, just treated passive aggressively, whatever it will do to get them out of the house, right? And so that's usually by fighting, or they'll even suggest you visit your family. Oh, you haven't been out so long, you need to go see your family. Yeah. And, or your friends, go do this or that. And it's really to sneak someone in or to sneak them out or contact people for it. That's what it's for. And so at stage 3 here, the old supply will also be wearing like sexual garments or lingerie or things that they normally would never wear, don't fancy, don't like. It's not part of their thing. It's not their deal at all. But they're going to be wearing this stuff and they wouldn't even think of it or like wearing it, but the narcissist will actually order this stuff for you. They'll just order it without asking you anything, things that they like. Yeah. And so in stage 3, continue, just kind of to finish off this one here. So the narcissist's new targeted supply here is kind of subtly now going to get foolish like emojis, like eggplant emojis and things 16-year-olds do, right? Kissing, hugging emojis, foolishness like that, right? And that's really to test the readiness of that new targeted supply, the new person, of like, hey, how far can I take this? Are they going to make a comment about a kissy face? Oh, well, now I'll send them this. Are they going to make a comment about this? Oh, they didn't. Well, maybe they're testing, they're pushing to see how far they can go. And if you can do the same thing for them, kind of like down the road, right? And so that's what they're doing here. And it's really going to be daily communication, almost 24/7 hour communication, almost 24/7 for the narc's new targeted supply, almost all the time, which is why the devalued supply at home is not even getting a text. They might not have had one for 2 or 3 weeks. It's that cruel. And so I'm just going to finish off here for the stage 2 with the new targeted supply and my last point, which is usually they're actively arranging a rendezvous. If they haven't already, the new supply and the narcissist are actively arranging a rendezvous in stage 2. They're actively arranging to meet, and they're loving the duper's delight, probably between both of them, because the new targeted supply really doesn't know much about what's really going on in the background. That's why we always have to ask, right? So hopefully this will help us with that. And it's Deb. I'll see you next week. Bye now.